let's get into the wider discussion here, which is, of course, what we have seen the bank do over the past 2 years, and your role in really divesting some of these non-core assets within UBS, in addition to being president of EMEA. Talk to us about the surprises and the balance that you've had to find straggling both of these roles.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you very much for coming along. Look, I mean, I became a member of the Group Executive Board back in 2023, post the acquisition of Credit Suisse in May, and I took both of those roles. I think, at the moment where I took them, clearly the non-core role was very much a priority, because the non-core role was, very much about returning capital to the group to be able to grow, reducing complexity, reducing costs, and the balance there, it's been, reducing all the positions that we got and thought they were not strategic for the go forward of UBS. By reducing cost and getting rid of complexity and balancing out, obviously being fair and having positive outcomes for clients, because still a lot of those positions were were originally done with clients of the bank, right? So I think for me, the progress that we've seen has been phenomenal, and that's thanks to the whole team that has been working together, from trading and sales people to all the functions that support us, and the rest of the bank that has been looking holistically at the clients. In particular, and we've been able to reduce around 80% of the RWA, credit and market risk RWA, that we got at inception in 2023, and around 60% of the costs, the cost base that we originally had. We've decommissioned around 50% of the applications that we use in the infrastructure. We've been, winding down books, 14,000 books. We are down probably around 75% of that number, legal entities and so on. So the job has been really one of dismantling the whole infrastructure, so not only the risk positions, but actually also, the whole infra and support that has given to those trades.
Have there been any surprises in your effort in doing this? And especially, we talk about what we've seen over the past 2 months or so with the market turmoil. Has this had an impact potentially on selling some of these positions?
I think the impact is that everybody's been busy with their own positions and managing their own risk and trying to figure out what was going on in the market, while, when we call and say, okay, we would like to assign these positions or novate those positions, we find less time from traders on the other side, perhaps for us. But in terms of, economic impact, I wouldn't say so, no.
Do you think moving forward, I mean, what's your goal then for the rest of 2025? When do you officially then wind down in this effort and focus then in on President of EMEA a little bit more?
So we always said that 2026 is the time where we're going to call it a day. We've made huge progress, as I said. We've revised our aspirations or our ambitions to end up the year at around 8 billion of market and credit risk. RWA, and 2026 by around 4 billion, so that's going to be very, very small already. But for us, the job this year is to really move all the positions that we have into the UBS infrastructure to be able to really decommission and get rid of the old CS, the old Credit Suisse infrastructure.
Bea, let's talk about the bank in the context of what we're seeing globally. And that is, of course, in very much part influenced by what we're seeing out of this new U.S. administration. We are seeing European assets and European lenders still doing quite well, right? We're wrapping up earnings season. Do we know yet, what is your perspective on potentially the winners here in this de-globalization push that we're seeing out of the U.S.?
I mean, there is no doubt that globalization has fueled, growth around the world, in the U.S., outside the U.S., in this region, definitely quite a big transition from oil dependency into, as we've been hearing and listening to in some of the other panels, into other, sectors, whether it's been, infrastructure, whether it's been manufacturing, logistics, tech, AI, and so on, so data centers, So globalization has had a very big positive impact, in my opinion, economically speaking. I think as we move away from there slightly, in my mind, everybody ought to lose something, right? Some more than others. I think Europe, it's been I mean, many people have said it's been a good wake-up call for Europe, because I think Europe is in a position where, you know, we need to focus on growth. We can do that. We have all the ingredients to make it happen. We have the investment, we have the talent, we do have the right people. So we really need to focus on, you know, making sure that the frameworks and the regulation is appropriate and competitive, stays competitive with the rest of the world, so that we can actually thrive in this opportunity, I think. But there is definitely a big you know, interest from clients into Europe. I mean, not only because obviously the latest FX movements that we've seen, but more broadly, I think the interest is there.
Wow. Is it shifting away from US and into Europe, or?
I mean, the US markets, in terms of investments, is still the biggest market, is still the most liquid market. So I think betting against the US market altogether is probably not the right thing to do. I think that we've seen definitely a rebalance of assets, but in general, I'd say people are being very constructive about market conditions.
Bea, if we talk about, you talked about competition, and when we look at the Middle East, we're here in Qatar, we've seen UBS face increased competition within the region. How do you stay ahead of some of the local players? What is the strategy moving forward?
For us, this is about, you know, providing holistic services, products and services to our clients. I think UBS is uniquely positioned to accompany clients throughout many different phases. So whether they are, you know, private clients, entrepreneurs that, you know, need financing and move into, you know, M&A and capital markets transactions, whether you are institutional clients with our global capabilities across the world. We are very relevant and meaningful in Asia. We have an extremely strong US franchise, and of course, we are very important in Europe as well. We have quite an important position when you look at the ranks in Europe. And so I think our ability to work together across locations, but also across business divisions, whether it is, you know, from wealth management, investment bank, asset management, and even PNC, so private and corporate banking in Switzerland, I think that collaboration had taken a notch up. We've been, you know, setting up teams that cut across to be able to make sure that we can seamlessly cover clients across multi-jurisdictional, you know, angles and products, and that has been very successful in this region as well.
Do you expect to spend more time here in the region?
Definitely,
yourself?
yes. Yeah, I mean,
not on a personal
the team will tell you that I've been spending quite a lot of time lately here, and I'm definitely not going to change that. That is, if anything, going to intensify.
And I wonder, Bea, just from your perspective, we were talking about just how long you've been within the company. What do you notice about some of the shifts that we're seeing here in the Gulf in terms of investment, and even from clients? Has the messaging remained consistent, or do you see maybe an increased interest by clients to invest here in the region?
I think, you know, this region has been one of the biggest winners of, you know, the latest geopolitical and tariffs movements, right? With 10%, one of the lowest tariffs across emerging markets, definitely across, you know, general other countries. I think the importance of this region, if you look at MSCI weight, for example, 2014 around or below 1%, probably now around 8%. The investments that all the sovereign wealth funds in the region have done in order to diversify from oil dependencies into other sectors, very relevant for many different economies. The APAC, you know, kind of Middle East corridor that we've seen with investments into Asia, which economies have similar, you know, challenges to a certain extent. And then, of course, I think, you know, with the fiscal setup, I think, you know, the Middle East has definitely been a winner for private individuals that have been moving away from higher tax regimes in other places and in other locations like the UK, for example. So we've seen that migration of clients around. I think, again, for us as UBS, we are uniquely positioned to be able to, you know, accompany our clients across the world and be present here. It's definitely one of the trends we've seen.
Do you, when you look at other banks that are also trying to stay competitive in the region, do you think UBS has a competitive edge against a Goldman or others who are moving?
Well, I definitely do, of course.
Because it's on the record.
Yeah, no, but of course, no, but I mean, I do, because I don't think that there is any other truly global bank that is capable of, providing our clients with, the capabilities, the products, the services that UBS can do, right? Across the world, across, different products. And again, I think that's very unique of us, working as one UBS, coming together, making sure that we are, covering clients in a very holistic way, whether it's onshore, offshore, across locations. So that I think is very unique of ours. If you think about, what we've been doing over the last 2 years or so, we've been setting up of these unified global teams, right, that cut across banking capabilities or market capabilities or alternative capabilities. For example, in the private asset space, we are one of the biggest LPs with over, almost 300 billion of investments for our clients, right? So we are very relevant in that space, and being able to, bring your clients closer to what they are doing and making them part of what you're doing, I think that's very unique of, things that we can do.
Would you increase potentially people on the ground in terms of expansion? Where do you look? Where do you focus?
We are very large on the ground already. I mean, we have offices in Dubai, in Riyadh, here in Qatar, Bahrain. We are opening one in Abu Dhabi. We have a large number of people as well in different, disciplines across the spectrum of what we do. And I do think that this region is very important, and we continue to be very committed. And I don't actually, I don't exclude the idea of growing on the ground, yeah.
And let's just finish up, Bea, if we can, taking a look at this region and stepping back within the broader context of the portfolio. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon did say that there is a risk of being complacent in this current setting that we are in right now. How do you think about this region in this current macro environment, especially when you look at some of the other focus areas for the company?
Look, I think investors are very interested in markets that are resilient and markets that have a strong macroeconomic, growth potential, right? And this region is definitely, in everything that has been happening, when you look at markets, definitely post, kind of Liberation Day, these markets have been more stable than others. I think the equity story for, the Middle East, the GCC, is very solid. We've seen it materializing over the last years. So there is no reason for investors not to believe, and for us not to believe, that this is one of the winners. This region is one of the winners of the current economic situation.
And what about the rest of the portfolio? How do you think about it in these volatile times right now?
In EMEA in particular?
Yeah, in EMEA.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think continental Europe is a very interesting space and place to be. You see what's going on in Germany with, the increased spend that is going to happen there. There is big expectations on, definitely infrastructure work and that. Spain, my home country, has been growing the highest in the whole of Europe. I should be very proud of that. So I think Europe is in really good shape. Yeah. And this is a question of, making sure that we have the right frameworks to continue, attracting investment and investing ourselves in, the transformation of the industries that we have that are very important and quite valuable.
Are you concerned about the risk, though, that could potentially be posed from some of the volatile uncertainty that is out there?
The markets always have uncertainty. I think, we've been going through a very stable growth period for probably the last decade, if you think about it, right? So some correction in the markets, I think is to be expected. I think fundamentally you need to look at, the foundation of the economy, and I still think that we have very healthy, foundations.
Right, and it's still very early days, right?
Yes.
We have to leave it there, but really appreciate your time. That is Beatriz Martin Jimenez. She is the head of Non-Core and Legacy at UBS and also the president of EMEA. Dual role. Thank you so much, Bea.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.